Hey, Money Vikings. All right. I like to do these walks every once in a while through nature, get out in nature, and talk about some interesting things going on with investing and the economy and all things building wealth. So thanks for tuning in. Big topic I want to talk about today was very interesting information about the National Association of Realtors. So this affects real estate. But essentially what's happening is there was a lawsuit brought. Anyone who's bought or sold a house or bought or sold property knows that typically the seller pays for the buyer's commissions. They pay the fees of the other agent. And traditionally those have been 3% each. So what ends up happening is the person is paying 6% in fees. 3% of that goes to their agent, the selling agent, and 3% of that goes to the buyer's agent. Well, basically, to simply put it, the lawsuit was saying that that was unfair to the sellers because the buyer's agent isn't anyone that they hired or even know. They don't even meet them. And why would they be paying the fees and the commissions of someone that's not providing a service to them? And, I think so basically that was found to be illegal and unjust or whatever, but it was found that, the verdict was against that. So it's an interesting situation. It does make sense. And I think a lot of people have complained about fees being too high for a long time. And especially in the modern era where I believe in real estate agents and realtors, having a good realtor. I think it's important having a good broker. But I also believe that in this era where information flows so freely, I remember when I first bought a house 20 plus years ago or bought a property, there was no Zillow, there was no Redfin, there was no ability for me to go on. It was a black box. I didn't know, other than a sign in a neighborhood, I had no idea in the greater city what was for sale. Any of these properties behind me, I had no idea that any of those were for sale. So I relied on that agent that I hired to go into the MLS, the multiple listing service, and to tell me what's available. And they'd do a printout. They'd print all this stuff out or whatever. They'd email it to me. Well, that's less and less an issue now. Everybody knows people are scrolling Zillow and Redfin and all these sites, LoopNet, all the time. And they know what's available. So a lot of research and initial searching is done online. And in addition, there's virtual tours. There's photographs, 3D tours, virtual tours. People are touring the houses on their own. So again, I see the value in having a real estate agent and a broker, but for a long while, I think people have felt that the fees are too high and that they really need to come down. So maybe that's what's going to happen. What's going to be interesting about it, I think it might soften the real estate market a little even more, because what's going to happen is a lot of times buyers are typically pretty strapped, right? Because they're trying to squeeze into a place. They're paying all these costs. They're putting a big down payment down, all this stuff. So now they're gonna pay their agent. And so what's gonna be interesting is how that's rolled out. Are they able to roll that into the loan? That's probably what I would think would happen, maybe. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. But that was very interesting news this week. So beyond that, I'm trying to think in terms of the investing front. I'm just going to stay the course with a diversified portfolio, not making any major moves or anything like that. I see great, if I was sitting on a ton of cash, I see great buying opportunities in the REIT, in the real estate investment trust world. Man, a lot of those have been battered, pushed down. And I think unjustly, I think that long-term they're going to be fine. And they're a lot of them, they're strong companies, the good ones. They're sitting on assets. A lot of them have, paying tenants, strong tenants. The economy does seem to be coming in for a soft landing. Doesn't seem to be too bumpy at the moment. That last jobs report was indicating that, again, softening job numbers, but it was actually maybe a good sign that things were slowing down, and that would mean that, you know, our good old friend at the Fed there won't have to raise interest rates more. So that's kind of what's going on in that world. But in terms of investing, yeah, I think there's great opportunity in the real estate investment trust world, and I'd be putting some capital to work there. But again, this is an investment advice. This is what I would do. This is what I'm doing. Yeah, just in general, staying the course with a balanced portfolio. You know, we Money Vikings for quite a long time have been de-risking, right? We had been de-risking maybe a year and a half ago. We said start de-risking and, you know, go into some safer bets for a while as things level out. But, you know, still a long-term bull on American companies. You know, maybe that's the Warren Buffett and the Munger in me, but, you know, never bet against America. I do still believe that, poised to do very well. Trying to think of what else as I'm getting out of breath as I try to walk up this hill. Yeah, I think that's in a nutshell. You know, I'm keeping up. I know inflation's come down a bit, but I am going to keep up the inflation defense systems that we've talked about. You can check those out, truewealth.moneyvikings.com. Going nuts on the Costco thing, right? Gonna just, you know, use that Costco gas. That saves you 50, 60 cents a gallon easily. Check out Jerry's stuff. I mean, Jerry went electric, so he's got some, you know, solar panels and EV charging going on, so he was pretty smart to make that investment. But yeah, keeping up with the inflation defense systems. I'll have some more comic and trading card game TCG, you know, Magic videos come in. I am picking up some Lord of the Rings Special Collector's Edition. I think that's pretty cool. But that's me because I really like Lord of the Rings stuff. But not looking at that stuff as a, you know, investment first, looking at it as just like collectible, like collecting art. But later on, if you can turn some of it around, get some of your money back, and you've enjoyed the hobby, I think that's a win. Yeah, so that's about it, guys. I want to mention that thing about real estate. Again, very funky real estate market. People definitely feeling stuck. I think kind of like buyers and sellers. Low inventory. People just not really knowing which way things are going. I think part of that is just went up too fast, too hard during the pandemic years. You can see the curve, you know, the way prices just shot up. It was pretty over the top. So it's totally flattened out and even come down a little bit. And we'll see how things with this new ruling, maybe that'll save money for the consumer. You know, they've been talking about this for a long time. Real estate is ripe for disruption, and, you know, maybe it does need to be disrupted. Maybe it is time for a more efficient model for transacting real estate. It's been stuck in a very old model with lots of middlemen for a long time. Consumer starts paying a lot of fees. Some of that's for good reason. It's definitely probably the most expensive investment, quote unquote, or thing that anyone will buy in their whole life is real estate. So it's probably good reason for a lot of due diligence and a lot of checks and balances in that system. But anyway, hopefully consumers can save a little bit off of this new ruling. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.